Guys, Zach Evanish here with part 2 of this Q&A on life and lifting. If you're new here, make sure you get to undergroundstrength.tv, go to the Start Here button, sign up for the newsletter. I'm going to hook you up with an awesome training course for free, obviously, and let's kick this off. Make sure you go back to part 1 as well. Read up on that Q&A, listen up on that Q&A, powerful stuff, and let's finish this one off right here, okay? So this question comes from a martial artist. I'm not sure what style of training he's in. Could have been MMA, but he was wondering what would be more effective for martial arts. Should he do weightlifting or should he do calisthenics? And I'm basically going to go, I always go back to this point where I talk about you need to do what's best for yourself. If you are a very big guy or a big person and you don't have good relative body strength, then I'm going to tell you that you want to focus on doing calisthenics. I'm not a believer in really going one way only, meaning only body weight or only weightlifting. There's definitely been times where I've taken only the weightlifting, only the body weight route. I've done it for up to 6 months without touching weight, and it felt great. But when I train somebody, I want to do an assessment. I look at how they perform in their sport, or whatever, things they need to do for life, and that's how I create the training program. Now, what would be more effective? Let's say you're extremely weak, then I'm going to have you do a mixture of weightlifting, whether it's the powerlifting moves, some of the quick lifts with dumbbells, kettlebells. I don't really discriminate. If I'm getting you strong, that's the bottom line. I'm getting you strong. But body weight has a great carryover for athleticism because you could really vary the things that you're doing. You could turn it into speed work by doing a lot of jump training for the upper and lower body. You could utilize gymnastics for athleticism and better body awareness, which also gets you strong. You could do slower exercises to build more isometric strength. You could use bodyweight exercises for mobility. So there's a lot of variations there. So I want you to ask yourself, you're a martial artist, you're a sport person, sport competitor. What do you need to work on? Do you have poor athleticism, poor speed? Incorporate speed work. Is your stamina poor? Incorporate conditioning work through the bodyweight and or the weightlifting. The main thing is what works for you and what are your weak areas, and attack those weak areas. That's how you need to train. Okay? Next question is, for wrestling and football, what are the best lifts? Listen, guys, I know people, I keep harping on this because you must do what works for you. The best movements, of course, the ones that tend to deliver the max results are going to be the squatting motions, deadlifting motions, the weightlifting type drills, whether it's a clean and press, a snatch, jumping, and then bodyweight push-pull, sled work. These are all the great lifts. We do them for football players. We do them for wrestlers. But I've had football players that are fat and slow, but they could bench, squat, and deadlift heavy. It doesn't help them anymore. I've also had wrestlers that have won state championship titles, national titles, that can't even bench press 225 pounds. Certain exercises or doing certain things and getting people stronger sometimes doesn't help them. I have the ability where I've been training athletes for so long where I could look at them and say, you know what? If I could get that kid to bench 250 instead of 200, he's going to get that Division I scholarship. He's going to win a state title. I could see that a mile away if it's needed or not. Or I see somebody and I say, you know what that person needs? He's got to get tough and he has to get mean, or he has to get more explosive. Or I might see that his work, his extra work, and his weak areas are not from the gym. They're in the sport realm. He needs to improve with his football skills. He needs to improve with his wrestling skills. And I've seen this before. Guys who dominate in the gym but are not that impressive in football, in wrestling, or whatever their sport of focus is. I've seen it many times. The most important thing is going to be that sports skill. So the sports skill has to be at an extremely high level, and that's the bottom line. I'm going to close out with this one. I get a lot of questions on knee injuries, knee surgeries. I've had 3 knee surgeries, started at a young age, a little bit after high school, a meniscus, an ACL, and another meniscus. So asking me about rehab. Now, of course, I'm not a physical therapist, so you got to go out and find a physical therapist. And I just hate when people cry when they hear somebody like myself talking about rehab. I'm talking through experience, and I've actually had quite a lot of athletes come to us, and they hear about us, that we train athletes and work around their injuries, because we're not conservative about it. The number one thing I do is I listen to that athlete, and that's how I made the best progress with my own rehabilitative processes with a knee or any other injury. Is as soon as things start to hurt or don't feel right, I stop, and then I pick back up the next day. So for an athlete who's had a surgery, a knee surgery, or is approaching knee surgery, I do exercises that don't hurt the knee or don't make it feel unstable, and we arrive at surgery in great shape and strong, and that allows the recovery process to be way faster. So we'll do a lot of sled work. We'll do light deadlift training through the trap bar deadlift, maybe some box squats, band leg curls, body weight back extensions. Things that we're very careful of is hyperextension of the knee or putting the knee in an unstable environment. So the weights are not going to be very heavy. It's not going to be super challenging, but we're going to keep the tendons and the ligaments strong. We're going to keep blood flow going, and we're going to keep the muscles strong. That's extremely important. After knee surgery, we do a lot of foam rolling. We use a rumble roller. So we roll out on the quads, the IT band, the abductors, the adductors, the glutes, the calves. Do a lot of rolling out, and then we do a lot of sled work because it doesn't have a big range of motion, but it is amazing for getting the legs strong again. And it's like doing repetition work. It's like doing bodybuilding work without forcing the athlete to go through a long range of motion, being a squatting or extending or flexing of the legs or hip extension. As the leg and knee feels better, we start doing things like bodyweight box squats with a shorter range of motion. As that range of motion improves or the knee feels better, we increase that range of motion. We will do walking lunges, and we'll do trap bar deadlifts using the high part of the trap bar so it looks more like a half squat. And little by little, we build up that range of motion and build up the strength. So the intensity is not very high, but the frequency is done quite often. So every time they come to the gym, I tell them we're going to drag the sled, we're going to do some banded leg curls, we're going to do some reduced range of motion box squats. These are all things that are extremely helpful. And then, of course, most athletes have post-surgery a dedicated physical therapist. What I found is most physical therapists are not super aggressive with the rehab protocol. What I do is I'm just very intuitive. Listen to the athlete and move from there. Anytime I've had treatment from Kelly Starrett, like on my shoulder, or him giving me feedback, he's aggressive because he always says that movement restores function. So when you are told to stop doing everything, you've had surgery, you build scar tissue, you lose strength, you lose range of motion, and coming back actually feels pretty crappy. So I'm a big believer in the movement restoring function, and a big believer in just listening to the body. Don't push outside of what it can truly do. That doesn't mean, you take it super easy. It is going to be a little bit challenging, but listen to what the body needs. And after my first knee surgery, I had a very hard time because back then the doctor said, take 2 weeks off after surgery and just go back to your normal routine. I tried going back to my normal routine. My knee had a very minimal range of motion. I didn't know what to do. I was going to all these other doctors, university doctors. Nothing worked. Finally, I said, you know what? I'm going to experiment. And if it hurts, I'm going to stop doing it. And my leg workouts were a variety of squatting, leg pressing, Romanian deadlifts, various leg curls. And as soon as the knee started feeling not good, I stopped the set and I stopped the exercise. And I just made progress that way. And that was the big learning lesson. This is like 1996. 1997 was my first knee surgery. It was my big learning lesson too. Listen to your body and do what you need to do, not what other people, if somebody's holding you back and you feel good, go with how you feel. All right, guys, that is it for this Q&A. Go to undergroundstrength.tv. Sign up for the newsletter by clicking on the Start Here tab. You're going to love the free gift that you're going to get. And reach out to me for questions through Twitter at zevenesh. That's Zevenesh. You can also find me on my fan page. Facebook is Zach's fan page. I'll see you guys there. Peace.